Have you ever felt like you were standing just outside the frame, watching the life happen, feeling everything but saying nothing? Just still. That is where our Charlie begins. Not with a loud bang or a dramatic twist, but with a letter which says quiet, honest, and aching to be understood. And that is exactly why this story stays with you. And I'm sure that by the end of this book, most of you guys will be able to resonate this book with your life. Because it doesn't just try to impress you, it tries to make you feel. So, let me give you a brief context about what is happening in the part 1. So, in the part 1 of the book named The Perks of Being a Wallflower, we meet Charlie, a high school freshman who has a lot of things going on in his life, and someone who had recently lost his only friend by suicide and is still haunted by the memory of his late aunt Helen, an only aunt who had loved him the most in his family. So you can say a complicated loss that sits heavy in his heart, and that is what makes him a quiet person, a someone who keeps to himself or rarely participates. And that is where he starts writing anonymous letters to an unnamed friend. So Charlie is not just your typical narrator. He doesn't pretend to have it all figured out. He is sensitive, he overthinks, he cries, and just he notices things around him. And in a world that rewards performance, Charlie is simply just present. And then came the dramatic transformation in his life when he met Sam and Patrick, the two seniors who don't just see him, they make room for him. They let him in, and suddenly, the boy who was on the edge starts to feel what it is like to belong, even if just for a while. So that is what I used to say or advise to someone who is going on through such phase, to either find someone and share what they are going through, or if they don't feel like it, start giving words to your emotions, or simply put it through your words. So let me give you a few takeaways from the battle. So there was a moment where Charlie writes, I feel infinite. And maybe we all have those moments. Not those loud, big Instagram worthy ones, not those, but just small moments when someone sees us, especially when we are not performing or when we are at our lows. Part 1 reminds me that healing doesn't begin with grand advice. It begins when someone listens. Sometimes such people who goes on through that phase, they only need a shoulder or an ear to listen or understand without passing the judgment. So that is what we could do to help the people who are going on through that phase. And that is what I have carried into my life. Being that person for others, not fixing them, not providing solution, just seeing them or listening them. Because sometimes kindness isn't about saying something profound. It is about staying when others leave. So the second key lesson from the part 1 is, if you have ever felt like the world is moving too fast and you are just watching it from the edges, this part of the book tells you that you are not broken, self-broken. You are just observing, and you are just an observers. You know what observers are? They feel more, notices more, understands more. And that is the beauty of seeing the unseen. I've often felt like Charlie, quiet in loud rooms, feeling everything all at once. But instead of changing myself, I started writing, reading, reflecting. Maybe that is why this book hits so hard, because it makes you feel or believe being different isn't something to fix. It is something to honor. In the end, here is my question for you guys. When was the last time you felt infinite? Drop a moment in the comments that made you feel seen, or just let me know if you have ever been the wallflower in the room. Because sometimes the ones who say the least have the most to teach. So, this is it. So, thank you guys for being a part of this journey. And stay tuned for the part 2 because we are just getting started. Bye bye.